Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest, and her name is Clare Bradley, and she is an anger management coach.
Yeah, hello.
Correct?
Yeah, well done. We're off to a good start.
So how are you doing today, Claire?
I'm really well, thank you. I've just travelled back across the country. I was at a business event yesterday all about evolving, and so my head was completely mashed yesterday. So yeah, I'm okay, thank you.
That's awesome. And hopefully mashed is in the best way possible, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So did you learn a whole bunch of stuff on that business trip, or what?
Yeah, so it was all about mindset, and it was all around using NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming, to look at how our brain takes information in and basically to stop that negative behavior. So it's so good, so impactful.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
so it's still fresh on your mind.
Proper mashed.
Well, it sounds like all that's still fresh on your mind. And if I'm not mistaken, you also introduced yourself with a gambling addiction that you have recovered from.
Yes.
So real quick, does that kind of go hand in hand with the anger management thing?
So the anger management thing has literally just kind of evolved, I guess. So I was a police officer for 20 years, well, over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was medically retired because of a really bad chronic back condition. So I got degenerative disc disease, which I was in chronic pain constantly. And alongside that, at the same time, I was suffering from something called restless leg syndrome.
Ooh, I hate that.
I know. So you've obviously heard of it then.
Yeah, I suffer from it here and there.
Oh, do you? Well, I was put on a medication for it, and I'm not going to name the medication, but you can Google it.
Probably smart.
One of the side effects of it was, I think they called it problematic gambling addiction. And
wait. That was a side effect?
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
I know. It's mad, isn't it?
I've never heard of a medication having a side effect where you might go gamble now.
I know.
What?
It's like, and I read that when they first put me, because I always read the little leaflet that comes with the medication.
Yeah.
And I read that, and I, exactly like you, was like, yeah, whatever. Threw that away, forgot about that little sidestep. So, I know. And, do you know, and unfortunately, I became its victim.
I'm so sorry.
And I don't know if it was because I was in so much pain and I needed to try and get something to take my brain away from that pain. And because I couldn't go for a run, go for a walk, go and do all of these other things that would take my mind off it, it almost kind of it kind of got in on my vulnerabilities, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never, ever, up until that point, I'd never been to a casino, anything. I'd just never gambled. It had not interested me in the slightest. And my partner and I, at the time, there was a local casino to us, and God damn it, they cooked really good steak, apparently.
Oh, no.
So we had to go and try this out, didn't we? You know, so we went, yeah, they did do really good steak. And it was like, let's go and spend £10 on the roulette wheel. So, okay, let's go and do that. That's fun. That's nice. And then I think I then tried it online, but I was literally putting 2p on and stuff like that. So it started off very, very slowly. And then, as is with a gambling addiction, you then start to chase the money that you've lost.
Yeah.
And so it just absolutely, it just blew up, and it took 7 or 8 years of my life.
Oh
And
man.
it's only, I spoke to one of my friends who has gone through sobriety, and she described sobriety as almost like a thief and said it stole my life. And I thought, actually, you're right, because that's what happened to me. And I went to see, so part of it, this side effects was the gambling and what else did they call it? Obsessive compulsive disorders. So I would get into relationships with people, and then I'd just be really bad within that relationship. I'd be talking to other people. I just made really bad decisions in relationships. So I was going through relationship after relationship after relationship. I would always tell them about the gambling addiction, which would always then cause a problem
Yeah.
because, again, I was being judged on that. I never judged, and there was never ever the option of, let me try and help you. It was
man.
almost, let me judge you and shame you for who you are.
Yeah.
And I remember one partner saying to me, this is child neglect. You're neglecting your son. And I don't know if that was said for shock factor or what, but I don't know. So I eventually was given the ultimatum of, you need to do something about this. And so I self-referred to, so we have a national health service over here. So I self-referred to a gambling clinic that was online. And again, the part of that was that I'm almost anonymous there. I don't have to sit in front of anybody. I can just ring them, and they won't recognise me in the street, kind of thing. So I did that, and I spoke to, I think I was like triaged in it initially, and then I spoke to a psychologist, and we talked about what medication I was on. And as soon as I said it, she just said to me, it's the medication. It is not your fault. It's the medication. You need to be getting off it straight away.
No.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Wow.
And
What?
yeah, and to have that was almost like and I'm going to do the noise, but almost like a ooh, like that angelic lifting of this divine intervention of, it's going to be all right. And so she said to me, you need to go and speak to your doctor, but what I'll do is I will write to your doctor, I will tell them it's the medication, and I'll ask them to take you off the medication and to send you to see a neurologist. So I was like, right, okay. So I left it a couple of weeks. I made an appointment to see my GP, and I was really nervous, because it was like, I've now got to sit in front of somebody and admit this. And it's all right admitting it to your partner, but to admit it to a doctor who's going to put it in their notes. And now any job that I might have to ever declare medical can ask for my notes, and it's going to be there in black and white, gambling addiction. Yeah. So anyway, I took the leap of faith and went in and spoke to this doctor, and I said to him, you should have had a letter from the gambling clinic, but I've got an addiction and I need you to take me off the restless leg syndrome tablets. And he just kind of looked at me very blankly and said, there is no letter, that hasn't come. And I was like, please check the system. No, that hasn't come. And these are his words: I am your doctor with overall care. It's my decision what medication you're on, not any gambling clinic. It's my decision if you go to a neurologist or not. And you need to decide what you can deal with the most, your restless legs or the gambling addiction. So he very much laid the gauntlet down for you need to get over this kind of thing.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I just remember leaving that doctor's surgery no better than I'd gone in, but actually feeling worse, because now I've told somebody, now it's going to be on my medical records. And I remember walking home and just thinking, what am I going to do? Because I'm at rock bottom, and that is why I've been to see the doctor. I'm at rock bottom. I need help. I don't know where else to go for help. And I'd been to see a counsellor, and I'd mentioned to them that I'm on this medication, and they were like, it's not the medication. So again, I was like, you trust these professionals? And I was like, well, it can't be then. It's not that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just remember going back home and thinking, what's the point in life? And my son at the time was probably about 14. And I just remember, I'd split up from my son's dad. We'd moved, and I just thought, he doesn't deserve this, that's going on in life. So he definitely does not deserve you as his mum to take the easy road out. And I know it's not an easy road out, but for me to turn my back on him and to say, I can't do life, that would have hurt my son more. So he was the person who just kept me going. He was my why. And so I kept going, and I ended up the relationship that I was in. She was like, oh, pack your bags, out you go, kind of thing. And I literally ended up traveling to my parents with like my belongings in the bin bags or garbage sacks, and knocking on their door. And so life just literally turned itself on its head. And I ended up going to work in Nigeria for 4 months on a United Nations project. And I knew that in that time, my son was living with my parents. So I knew, well, he's all right. He's being cared for. He's being fed. He's warm. He's clothed. He's going to school. So he's okay. And so whilst I was in Nigeria, I found a place for me to return to and come and live back in the UK. When I got home, my dad was very, very poorly from the side effects of chemotherapy. He'd got cancer, and he unfortunately passed away later on in that year.
My condolences.
I know. And then, so that was in the December, and in the January of 2018, I was having major spinal surgery. And I remember being sat on this bed in hospital. I'd had some discs removed in my neck and replaced. And all I kept thinking was, oh my God, someone's literally slit my throat open. And sitting on this hospital bed, and I was miles away from my mum and my son. So I had no visitors come and visit. I'd had major surgery, and I just thought, this is your turning point, Claire. You cannot carry on like this. Look at where you are. You're on your own. You're literally on your own. You cannot carry on like this. So, and I made that decision there and then. If ever there was a light bulb moment, that was it for me. And it was like, this is it. You've had to go through this to realise it. And I obviously got over the surgery, and I started to save money, which when you've got a gambling addiction is incredibly difficult. But again, my mindset now was, I've got to save for a home, because my son is going to be coming back soon, because he's going to leave school. He'll be coming back to live with me. So I need to get the money together so that I can rent a nice house. So I got the money together. I rented us the house. He came back to live with me. He got into college, and inadvertently, the house move meant that I had to move doctors, because in the UK you have to live within an area for the GPs. So my old doctors, the one that had kind of let me down, they said, you need to move, you're out of our area now. And would you believe I argued the toss, and I was like, no, I need to stay with you. And they were like, no, you're not, you're going. So anyway, I went to a new doctor, and they said, you need to come in and have a medication review. And I just thought this could be, again, my opportunity to stand up for yourself again here, Claire. So I went, and I was more confident this time because I've already done it once, and I've already been told to go away. So now, actually, I feel more kind of confident that if I need to argue, I'm going to argue. So, and I remember knocking on the doctor's door, being stood outside, and this lovely little voice was like, come in. And I went in, and it was a lady, and she was like, how are you? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm okay. And we got onto the medication, and as soon as she mentioned the name of the medication, and I said to her, is there any way, please, that we can change this medication? The side effects are prolific gambling. That has been affecting me. Please, can we change it? And like that, she literally said something along the lines of, well, we can't be having that, can we? She leaned forward, picked up her medication book, and went through and found me another medication, gave me a prescription, and off I went.
Oh, wow.
Completely different. Same circumstances, completely different. And I went to the chemist, gave them my prescription, came out with my medication. Within 2 weeks, the constant thoughts of gambling, gone. Not there at all. The habit that when I'm sat down and I'm watching telly and I pick my phone up and I go to do something, that took a little bit longer, but I was of the mindset of, you've no excuse now, Claire. You've got to, this has got to start. And literally within a month, done, dusted, gone. Thank you.
That's awesome.
And it's been like an absolute breath of fresh air. But the hardest bit, and this is what kind of gets to me, is the judgment from others. Is the judgment from that doctor who should have been there to help. That's what they are there for. And the judgment, of course, of why I couldn't speak out and tell my family, couldn't tell my friends, because I was worried what they would think. And I really want to break down those walls of judgment, because who are we to judge anybody of what they're going through in life? We're not.
No.
So that's my little, well, it's not a little life story. That's a snippet of my life story.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for sharing all of that with us. Thanks for your vulnerability, your honesty, openness, because that is crazy. Like, I'm still not over the fact that a side effect of a medication was prolific gambling.
I know. And it makes you wonder what other side effects some medications have got.
Yeah, it really does make me wonder, like, what other issues is Big Pharma causing? And then it's just, oh, hey, you have this now, another medication helps, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
That is one heck of a story, because you went from being okay to being injured to getting medication to getting addicted to gambling, and then getting denied the help from professional health cares. And then having other life events happen, and then going to another doctor, and then you finally got a doctor that actually listened and changed everything around for you. So it really does show me that it does take one doctor, it takes one person to
Yeah.
listen and make a difference.
Absolutely.
And so that's another thing why I'm glad that you're on, because now you're speaking out, and so you get to help end the stigma and show people like, hey, if
Yeah.
if I'm taking this medication, it's probably not my fault.
Absolutely. And we blame ourselves for
Hmm.
so much.
Yeah.
And like you said, we don't know what we're taking. And it
Hmm.
could be. So I've gone on to kind of like work with, I went through domestic abuse again, but then I
Hmm.
went on to work for a domestic abuse charity, but
Hmm.
working with male perpetrators of domestic abuse.
Hmm.
And that's where I started to kind of, we were using neuro linguistic programming,
Hmm.
NLP, and I was like, wow, this is powerful stuff. And
Huh.
I'm ex-police, so I'm very much evidence-based.
Uh-huh.
Woo-woo is like a little bit weird for me. So to see that by talking to people and
Hmm.
hearing them, but asking them, well, why do you do that? And getting that answer, and then still questioning, yeah, but why?
Hmm.
And to hear, and I would sit with these men who have been through so much trauma, and they would tell me nobody's ever listened, Claire.
Hmm.
But they've also been working with social care, probation, police, so many professionals in their lives, but
Hmm.
nobody's listening to them.
Hmm.
And again, this is where my whole thing is we've just got to start listening to people,
Hmm.
because you don't know what they're saying. And if you're not listening, you're never going to pick up on the signs that someone is asking for help.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Never.
Oh no. And I think you bring up a huge thing with society in general, because we're all kind of expected to live to these expectations,
Yeah.
these goals, and so on and so forth.
Standards. Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't live up to those in other people's eyes, then
Yeah.
we're never going to be good enough to those people. But one of the
Absolutely.
things is that every person I know has a different version of me in their head,
Yeah.
and I can't live up to every single version all the time. And even then, I don't know what version of me is in someone's head. So why am I
Yeah.
going to try to mind read and then people please, because it does nothing but get me in trouble? But it
Yeah.
does really make it to where people don't want to speak out and say what's going on, because people are afraid of judgment, people are afraid of rejection,
Yeah.
and that stuff is hard to get over and get through. And that's why people don't speak out, because they're afraid no one is going to listen and that they're going to be judged. So
Exactly.
it's great that we have people, again, like yourself, willing to come out and say like, hey, this is like the trouble that I had, and this is how I got over it, like this is what even caused it, what led up to it. And you're letting people know that there is a way out, and
Yeah.
that it's okay to speak about this kind of thing. Because I was an alcoholic slash addict for 10 years, and
Yeah.
I'm going on 3 years, no, I'm going on 4 years sober now.
Well done.
And thank you. And it is one of those things, like, I didn't want to tell people I was an alcoholic or an addict,
Yeah.
because it's like, hey, like, okay, you're going to have this instant judgment of me in your head.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, because I've noticed if I tell people I'm in recovery, it kind of flips around. Not
Yeah.
everyone, but a lot of people have started to go like, "Oh, like congratulations" and stuff, instead of going like,
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's just weird. Like you say, there's that instant like you're a bad person. Well,
"Mm-hmm,
who says? Who?
mm-hmm,
In whose eyes am I a bad person? Your eyes,
mm-hmm,
clearly. And if we like as kids, we taught like Chinese whispers, aren't we?
mm-hmm,
And we are told, we do it. We sit in a circle, and one person will start it, and by the
mm-hmm."
time it gets back round, that
Totally different.
initial has completely changed.
Mm-hmm,
But if you look at life and the lessons that we're taught in life, so imagine you're sat in an English lesson or whatever, and your teacher's teaching you this particular subject.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that teacher was taught by somebody else that specific lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But what have they forgotten that they're now
Mm-hmm.
teaching us? And what about the teacher's teacher? What had they forgotten that they told the teacher who's now teaching us? So as it goes along,
Mm-hmm.
all these lessons and all of these beliefs and values in other people's lives are all being changed, added to, diluted. So you kind of look at it and think, actually, who is right?
Mm-hmm.
And what you're telling me, what your belief is, who says that's right?
Yeah. No.
Because it's like, I don't know, if you think about that too long, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
It's maddening.
believe nothing.
Yeah, it's maddening, and that's one of
Yeah.
the things is that we have. I don't know if it's more of a privilege or a right, but we get to choose what we believe in, right?
Yeah.
With free will, and so we get to choose which lens we look out of with life, and for some reason we let other people choose for us a lot of the time, or at least that's what it used to be for me. And the only way that it's really painted a certain way for me now is depending on what kind of news I'm looking at. And I can't really help what's going on in the world, but what I can do is try to do something on my end about it.
Yeah.
But with society, I don't know what it is that makes people so quick to judge, but it's kind of like everyone wants to be right. And I totally get that. I understand that because it feels wrong being wrong. It feels icky and weird because it's like, yeah, I was wrong about something. But at the same time, I think technology has kind of helped push that rhetoric that we have to know everything and be right about everything, because we now have smartphones, and I can be in an argument with someone and pull out my phone and prove them wrong and that I'm right. And so I think we like to do the same thing with our morals and our standards, which it really just depends on where you pull from. And like you said, all the lessons that have been taught throughout the millennia, it's either been changed, it changes with the time, or it's so old it gets broken and forgotten about, or maybe there are some key aspects that one teacher didn't like, so they left that out, and then ever since then that lesson's just been completely missed off the mark because of one detail.
And there's been times, so I've been a trainer, a tutor, etc., throughout various different times in my life. And I remember, I might start off teaching a particular subject in a particular way, but then the next time I teach that subject or that particular topic, it's changed because I might have forgotten part of it, or I've been told something else, so now I'm going to add that in. So it's very, very different. But that doesn't mean that the first time that I taught it, that wasn't true. It just means it's a different version of the truth as well. And again, and I think just picking up on something that you said then is that you would pull out your phone and prove something. Whereas like my age, like years ago, you couldn't pull out your phone to prove something because it wasn't there. And now it's like, why do we have that need to prove that we are right? It's like, what does it matter?
I don't know what it matters necessarily, but I think what it comes down to is like this primal instinct of tribe versus tribe in a sense. And I don't know if we'll ever really get past that. But what we can do is learn that we do have differences and it's okay to accept those differences. And that's one of those things is that whenever I look back at my past, I can see the things that led up to my alcoholism. I can see the things that led up to all these bad decisions and so on and so forth. But it's hang on, that train it was there, it's gone. It'll come back to me eventually. Can you
You were talking about bad decisions.
Bad decisions. See, it's so far gone. It doesn't even
It doesn't
register with you
matter.
now.
It'll come
No,
back.
it'll come back. Um, but with all of this being said, there's got to be something that we can do as a society to help everyone kind of get each other. And I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but
I
go
just
ahead.
think we need to be kinder.
Yeah,
We
for
just
sure.
need to let things go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hang around on Facebook, and
Mm-hmm.
I will quite often see people just getting into an argument.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, it's like they've got to prove the other person wrong, or they've
Mm-hmm.
got to have almost like the upper hand on that person.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes across as bullying, and it comes across as trolling or whatever else. And there's
Mm-hmm.
times when I've felt like, well, I'm going to jump in because that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might type out what I'm going to say, but then by the time I've typed it out, I've got over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, well, they're allowed an opinion. They're absolutely allowed that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't agree with it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I then use that whole philosophy of they're allowed that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to agree with it. But
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean to say I now have to tell them that I don't agree with it. I
Yeah.
can just walk away
Mm-hmm.
and allow them to have that opinion.
Yeah, I think now. Correct me if I'm probably wrong on this, but it's a theory. I wonder if people are starting to hold on to their opinions so hard and tight and get so defensive about them because they're actually holding on to them as fact.
Quite possibly.
You
That's
know,
their
like,
true belief.
yeah, it is their true belief.
Mm,
So to them, it is their reality. It is their
yeah,
everything. And people don't like it whenever something comes along and changes things for even the better. Like, even good
yeah,
change feels uncomfortable at first. Like, I'm sure whenever you got off your medication, the first day you woke up without that gambling running through your head, you're kind of like, wait a minute, like, what's going on?
yeah.
Right?
Is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're right, is that when they don't agree, it's kind of like almost like a challenge, and
mm-hmm.
someone's thrown down the gauntlet, haven't they, and gone, right then, are you going to come back at me?
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, and I also think, we grow up, and as we're children, we grow up with our parents' values and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point do we either continue to go through life
Mm-hmm.
carrying on, believing what our parents told us,
Mm-hmm.
or do we change those values and beliefs? Do we ever
Mm-hmm.
question it? And I think some people will. They will
Mm-hmm.
go through life just believing that because perhaps that works with the
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric that they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, I think, as we hit various stages in life, and we hit alcoholism, we hit gambling addictions, and other things in life that can completely upset the apple cart, then we start to question life,
Mm-hmm.
and we start to question, well, why have I been believing this all this time when actually now I'm
Mm-hmm.
sat here in this complete pit of shame? It's quite obvious that that belief and that value that I've held for so long means
Mm-hmm.
absolutely nothing now.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, this is a topic that we could explore forever, I
Yeah,
think. And I don't it's hard to really say with any kind of definite, right? Because everyone is different. And so everyone's reason is going to be different.
yeah,
But I really do think it does kind of come down to the whole I'm right, you're wrong.
yeah.
But uh, my brain just went two ways at once. I'm sorry. Can you repeat just a little bit of what you were saying?
So we were talking about how our brains are, you're right, I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say is, in particular, particularly for the US, you've just had your elections over there.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah, I'm trying to ignore it as well.
Oh.
But we've had elections this year as well, so it's been a big turnaround for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But you only have to watch the way that they do elections.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it, particularly in the US and particularly with one person who just, and it is a case of they will just name call and belittle the other person as if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult, I think I sit there thinking, when did we ever get to this stage in life where we've gone back to being a child, and now when we think someone's wrong, we just call them a name?
Mm-hmm.
Does
And
that?
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It does not make any sense to me
No.
because I'm an adult, you're an adult, and I'm not about to sit there and stoop down to that level.
Yeah.
I will sit there and make jokes of sorts, but they're going to usually be a higher class, maybe.
Yeah.
But I do remember what I was going to say, and that was growing up with the parents' rhetoric, with the parents' beliefs
Yeah.
and stuff. And I think it really comes down to pain and desperation and the willing and wanting to change. And I think people will
Absolutely.
get comfortable with where they're at. Like you said, if it's working in the rhetoric that they're telling themselves,
Yeah.
then why change it? Nothing's broke.
Absolutely.
But whenever, like, for me, it took a decade of alcoholism to sit there and say, like, and actually dying and then being like, all right, like, I'm done. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's it. But it took a lot of pain and a lot of suffering to get there. And I think that's what might have to happen with a lot of people, which really, really, really sucks to say. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what generational curse breaking is all about. Like, you're taking something that's taken family members before, friends before, and stuff, and something has to break within for you to change something on the outside. You know,
Absolutely. You've definitely got to want it to change.
yeah, you can't make anyone change,
No. No.
unfortunately.
And I have started working with a homeless charity now,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's only very recently, and I go in every other week, and I talk to their residents, and what we've started talking about is how they feel when they're talking with professionals and how that makes them feel. So what we're wanting to do is to build up their resilience, I guess, from being. So the first things they said was, when I'm talking to a professional, I feel like I'm an animal. I feel like I'm unheard. I feel like I'm being labelled. So all of these negative things that they genuinely feel. So we need to build up their resilience so that when they're sat in front of the next professional, that they're not feeling like that, and that they're feeling like, I am a person who is as deserving of being heard as anybody else, literally anybody else. So I'm gonna come across as a person who deserves to be heard. I'm going to communicate in that way as well, because I think some people, because they think, do you know what, you think I'm an animal, I'm going to behave like an animal.
Yeah.
Because I've got nothing to lose. You're not going to help me. So, and it kind of just, they stop before they even started. So that for me is, I want to be able to enable them and support them in having better conversations and having that behaviour change. But again, they've got to want that. They've got to look at where can I go in life and how do I get there? Because that and the want. So that's fingers crossed that I can start helping build up that for people.
That's awesome. I know you'll get there, and you're doing it right now, helping everyone that's going to be listening to this.
I hope
So,
so. I
oh,
really do hope so.
I know so. Everyone has words that fit the exact shape of someone else's wounds. So,
I
whether
like
you,
that.
yeah, whether you know it or not, someone is going to hear what you say, and it's going to be exactly the correct and best thing that they could hear. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
lovely. I
yeah.
like that.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that I want people to share their story, their perspective, and everything, because my perspective and my experience is very limited,
Yeah,
as is anyone that I'd speak to. But
exactly.
that's why,
It's our own.
yeah, it's our own. But one of the things that I would like to exemplify on is the fact that I'm living the human experience. You're living the human experience. We're all
Yeah.
living the human experience. We all have a story, and there's underlying themes, but how we go about them is entirely different. And
Yeah.
it's funny because you can almost see, like, you know, where those oceans meet, and you can see one of the oceans and then the other one, and there's that line. It's
Yeah.
kind of like walking this weird little ocean doing this kind of thing, because you see people that are like in for the ride of changing themselves and getting better and hearing people out and understanding, and then you have people that go like, no, I don't want to do anything with that. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
where's the humanity?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
go ahead.
I guess for those people that I guess there's those who are like, yeah, I want to help and I want to achieve,
Hmm.
and they will absolutely find the right. Well, I hope they will find the right people,
Hmm.
unless they go to my old doctor and then they won't. Um, but then I guess there's those who don't want any help,
Hmm.
um, and I don't know why they don't want help. Whether it's just not the right time for them, whether they don't think they need that help, I don't
Hmm.
know. Only they can answer that.
Exactly. And
But when it comes down to other people helping other people,
hmm,
I don't understand why you wouldn't want to. I don't
I
understand how you could see that and not want to help somebody.
I don't understand it either. It is one of the complexities in life. I love paradoxes, but I don't think that it's a paradox because I don't see the
Mm.
good in it.
No,
Um, and like the
no,
only thing that comes out of acting and being that way is self-preservation. And looking at history, a lot of people that are doing self-preservation actually end up digging themselves their own grave.
yeah,
So, and I don't. I wish that there was something that could be said to someone to make them not get their head out of where. But the thing is that I can't make anyone do or think anything. I can only influence, and
yeah, absolutely,
sometimes the best influence I can do is just be the light that I want to see in the world. And sometimes you make someone's day just by holding a door open for some people.
absolutely.
If I go outside of Texas and I hold the door open for someone, everyone just looks at me like I'm about to like push them out of the door or something. It's weird, but
Yeah,
it there's not anything I can do besides what I can do. And what I can do is just control my reactions.
and what you are doing is modeling. You're
Mm,
modeling behavior, and
mm,
people quite often say to me, "There will be people watching you, Claire."
mm.
So there will be people watching you, Keegan, who are watching you from afar and who will be looking and thinking, Keegan's different. Keegan's changed. How's
I,
Keegan got to where Keegan's got? I want to be like Keegan or like Claire or like whoever else.
mm,
And that's and if that's how it happens, then we're slowly and quietly making changes.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody just wants to watch from afar for 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 months, however long it takes until they've got the courage to reach out, then so be that. But all we can do, and this is how I describe it, is it's a journey. Any journey of change is a journey, and I will gladly walk alongside anybody on that journey so they know they've got company, they know there's someone next to them, and I'll open all the little gates on the way and I'll be there. And if they have a wobble and they need to take a few steps back, I'll be there. But it's a journey, and I think you are a perfect person to go on a journey with somebody as well.
Well, thank you.
I do think you are.
And I get that same vibe from you because
thank you.
It's very loving, very kind and understanding vibes that I get from you, and that's what the world needs. You also got you have a sense of tenacity that I kind of feel, and I think that kind of came from getting your confidence of talking to that second doctor again, saying like, I can do this, like they'll listen to me this time. I think that gave you a huge boost, a much needed one, because I know those little tiny victories can really build someone up. And I think that,
and it's so important to celebrate those little victories.
It is.
And those little victories can be literally as small as opening your curtains some days.
Oh yeah, it really can be. It can be something that man, just getting out of bed and taking a shower and getting ready can be a small victory, you know? And I don't think people really give themselves enough credit for some things. And that's another thing, which we are getting close to the end of this episode. But so real quick, I do like to ask people if they'll be on multiple times, because you never know what happens in between. Literally one day, a few weeks, a few months. So I'd love to have you back on, because we can definitely explore some other issues. But well, there it went again. My brain just likes to my trains are like bullet trains, so like I'll see it, and then if I look away for a second, it's just gone. Yeah, kind of like
I was going to say like a menopausal woman, but you know.
I mean, yeah. But with all this being said, there's things we can do for each other, and I think that you're doing a wonderful job for those around you, because like you said, modeling, you're doing a fantastic job. And I can just see I can't tell if it's because of the business trip, but at the moment you got a light in your eyes that just says like, I want to share my happiness with the world, and that's what we need for
that's lovely. I do. If I can help, if I can encourage people to make that step in life and to stand up and say, this is me, this is who I am, then I'm absolutely there for it.
That's awesome.
I absolutely am. When I started my business, I remember somebody saying to me, you've got to turn up as your authentic self. And I thought, oh God, I can't do that, because if anyone finds out about my gambling addiction, that's it, I'm stuffed. Who's going to want to work with me? And last December, I received a message through Facebook Messenger. And it was somebody I didn't know. I think it was a fake account. And this person said to me, have you got over your gambling addiction yet? And I thought, and it made me smile. And it obviously wasn't sent to make me smile at all. But I just thought, you don't know me, and you, whoever you are, have not been in my life for many years. Because in 2018, I stopped gambling, and we're now in 2023. That shows what you know about me. And So every time I talk about my gambling addiction, I'm effectively sticking two fingers up at that person. Because for
Nice.
me, I'm going, this is who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It
yeah.
sounds like you found your self-worth again, and that's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely.
And
And
I
I
think
would
that
never be this other Claire. I would not be this Claire years ago. I'm like, I am a shy person, but here now, you wouldn't be able to tell that because I'm so
yeah,
passionate about it.
that is way too cool. And that's the kind of drive and like you said, passion that is going to help everyone else.
Yeah.
Because passion, do you know the definition of passion? Or it's not maybe the, but it is a definition of.
No.
Whenever someone is passionate about something, it means that they're willing to suffer for it.
Ah.
Yeah, so if I say I'm passionate about mental health advocacy, it means that I'm going to be willing to suffer any backlash that comes my way.
Right.
Sort
I
stuff
like
like that.
that.
Kind of like
Yeah.
if women being passionate about women's rights, they're going to face backlash, but they're passionate about it. They're going to do it regardless of what's coming at them.
Yeah.
And that,
Right. Well then.
yeah, that's the way that I view mental health and stuff like that,
Yeah.
because we're going to get backlash no matter what we do.
Of
So
course.
if I'm going to be into something, I might as well be passionate about it. That way I can kind
Exactly.
of put my two fingers up to other people and be like, look, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah. I love that.
So, but we do need more passion in this world, and
We
you're
do.
bringing it. You're bringing it. That's awesome.
Thank you. As are you.
Well, thank you as well. Uh, Real quick, we are at the 52-minute mark. So my question is, do you have any shout outs? Do you want to promote your own uh, anger management coaching?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I can just mention, so I do have my own anger management coaching business, which is called the Anger Management Coach.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
you don't have to be angry. Angry is an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So, an anger just piggybacks on other emotions,
Mm-hmm.
which could be frustration, it could be unhappiness, it can be a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things. But it's generally that we are not able to, or we can't find the way to communicate that other emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I set up the anger management coach for that. I have just written a chapter in a book called Beyond the Ordinary, where I talk about my gambling addiction.
Mm-hmm.
That is on Amazon. But
Sweet.
as I mentioned, I also have started working with an amazing housing association that helps homeless people in the
Mm-hmm.
UK, and that is called Adullam Homes. And it's up there, so ADULLAM. It's
Okay.
amazing. They do so much work. So go and look them up as well.
Okay. Sweet. Well, we'll definitely do all that. And for those listening, make sure to check out retrievingsanity.com or check out the episode on Spotify and the details. And those links will be in there for you. So anyone listening, you can always double back, find those links, check them out later. But I just got to say, this has been a very fun episode.
Yeah, I've
And
enjoyed it.
like I still cannot get over the
Google
medication
it.
side. Yeah, I know. Like I've heard of some odd ones. You know, like St. John's wort makes you sensitive to sunlight and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that one's kind of weird, but it doesn't make sense that something would make me go, I have $5. I bet you I can make 20. Like for some reason that just sounds something more like a peyote trip or something. Like,
Yeah, Google restless leg syndrome
mhm.
and problematic gambling, and you'll
Okay.
find it. I'm not saying the
Wow.
name of it.
Yeah, don't do that. We'll keep big pharma out of this.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure.
secret.
Yeah, we might have just summoned them just by saying big pharma, but it's okay.
We can cut that bit out.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Let me mark
Yeah.
the clips in. There we go. Um, but with that being said, we're at 55. I actually really got to go to the bathroom.
Right, go.
um, okay. But thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to have you back on. And so I'm going to mark this right here. So here we go. Sorry, I thought someone was knocking at my door. Claire, do you got any last words for the listeners at home?
All I would say is I want to say something around judgment, and I think I want to say be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't allow the worry of judgment stop you from getting help.
Mm.
And if you need to reach out, if you need to speak to somebody before you reach out, then get in touch with me and I'll have a chat with you.
All right. That's awesome. That is very kind of you.
You're more than welcome.
So we'll get those ways of people can we'll put those contact links and everything with the description.
I'll send you my links.
Yep. But I can't thank you enough for being on.
Thank you.
And
Fully enjoyed
again,
it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it because I had a ton of fun. So you have a wonderful rest of your day. Actually,
Thank
it's
you.
evening for you, isn't it?
It's 4:00 in the evening, yeah. So it's
Okay,
going dark now.
So 1600, so not too bad.
Yeah.
But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And
Thank you.
yeah, of course. And I can't wait to have you back on the show. And for everyone else out there listening, thanks for checking out Retrieving Sanity on WDJY FM. And we'll see y'all next week. Shalom. All right.